Hello and welcome to another Monday live stream. My name is Shane Olson and today we're going to be sculpting this great character design it's another one by my friend Joshua Black. I really like this one, so here we go. We're going to try it out. Welcome. Okay. Let's get to it. Hey McBobbles, how you doing? Did you guys just get here? Good timing. Hello. What's up, Brad? How are you doing? What's up, Neil? Hello. Okay, so let's see. I haven't created a female for quite a while, so I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. Rodolph Silva, what are you asking? What's your question? You want to know how to set texel density ratios? I'm not using CAD or Cinema 4D. This is ZBrush. So I don't know if you're watching a different video and commenting. I don't know. Okay. So I'm just going to take this. Basically what I did is I subdivided up this sphere, and then I got rid of the lower subdivision levels. And we're going to make the jaw like we always do. Got you streaming on YouTube and another thing on Twitch. Did I interrupt something? Ooh, I hope not. Could you double check that, Neil? I hope I'm not. This is my normal time, and it showed up in the Maxon. Shame to the Hill people. Hey, how you doing, Zofo? I remember that skit from Saturday Night Live. It was funny. But I was on their calendar. It's not. It was. I don't know if we crossed paths or something. I don't know. Anyway, the topological button is located under Brush, Auto Masking, Topological. So if you go up to Brush and go to Auto Masking, it is right here. Hey, what's up, Mark? So Mark, since you're over on Twitch, is something else streaming? Or am I streaming? Oh, the other stream on Twitch just ended. Okay. That freaked me out for a minute. So, okay. Goodness, I hope I didn't boot anybody to the curb. Hey, McBobbles, how you doing? I was streaming a moment ago. Hey, Tolkfan, how are you, man? That was weird. That was very weird. Because that's like my nightmare is like, interrupting somebody else's stream. So usually when I log into ZBrush's, it's called Restream when I log in there. If somebody else is streaming and there's chats coming through, I will see them. Like I'll see if somebody's streaming because I'll see their chat stream. But there was nothing, so the Maxon stream just went over to. Oh, got you. Okay. And then I'm just like, boop, get out. Synopsis, how are you? Oops, I forgot to turn symmetry back on. Eric, hello. Welcome. Today's a good day. I'm listening to a little Dire Straits. Walk of Life. That's a good tune. Bless us with your sculpting knowledge. I'll do my best. I will do my best. Love following you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always ask this, and I like to ask it again, but when it comes to making 3D characters or stylized 3D characters, what is the thing that you struggle with the most? I guess as a noob, if you're brand new, you struggle with a lot of things, but is there something that just stands out the most? Like, I always ask myself, what problem am I trying to solve for people, you know? Or is it just a general overall thing? Or is it specific? Yeah, the early stages are always like trying to find your footing. Just moving geometry? Like the physical thing of it? Eyes are usually hard for me. I can see that. Doonch. Hello, Shay. Welcome. Yeah, super appealing. I love this. It's great. See how I can do with it. I don't know. I always tell myself, okay, I'm gonna choose a different concept artist this time other than Josh Black, and then he goes and draws something like this. I'm just like, dang it, Josh. It's hard to keep the surface even. So the secret to that is keeping your meshes low resolution, and you can turn on dynamic subdivision. Hey, what's up, Jazzy? So if you have too high of resolution and you use a move brush or any other brush like that, then it's really easy to introduce undulations in the surface. So that's my little tip for you, is keep things as low as you can. Like, for example, this is actually a little high for me. And you can remesh at any time. Oh goodness, let's see. Restore custom. Sometimes my user interface does not show up. Okay. Measuring when you've been too close to the scope for too long and you can't see the forest for the trees, right. Tend to see things after I post an image. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'll go to post something and then I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. I can't believe it. I have trouble with creases and ridges, like the nose or the brow. I tend to end up with these wobbly lines. Interesting. Okay. For me, I always find it hard to make dynamic poses. I'm afraid of breaking the mesh. Yeah, poses are a big one for a lot of people. Understandably. Okay. I'm just going to adjust this cranium a little bit more. Kind of push it up. We have the same hands. They don't work the same way. I think it's just I think they do. I would argue that point and say it's just a matter of experience and knowledge. White Blender Sculpting is hard and ZBrush is easy. To get a job, I have been restricted to use Blender. Oh, goodness. Yeah, since this is the Maxon channel, I can't really go into Blender too much, or at all, for that matter. Or else I'd give you some tips about it. Let's see. So I'm going to keep groups, and just Z-remesh at 5 and see what it gives me. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Panic Android, I like your name. How's it going? Quick question: when placing the lower face jaw sphere, what do you aim the line where the meat becomes like? So typically I meet right where the tear duct is and the back of the eye ends. So that line right through the eye. Right there. So I guess it's called the eye line, I don't know. Are those figurines? Yeah, these are all printed. Well, these are toys that I worked on when I worked at Disney. And these are 3D prints. Yeah. First time tuning in. Do you have days where you sculpt a full body currently on the Stylized Anatomy portion of the course? I've done 2. During my streaming time, I did a pirate girl, which is actually her right here. And I did the cowboy, which is actually him right there. So I haven't done a full body for quite a while. Thanks, Ian. How you doing? I did. I worked for Disney for 10 years. Disney Interactive, I should say. Makes sense. Thanks. It's because I always place an orb and never know if I put it too high or low. Okay, and so I kind of meet both of those here. Hey Neil, could you do me a favor? There's an interview that Pixelogic did with me back during the ZBrush Summit. I was wondering if you could find that. But to just sum it up, I've worked in video games for, I think it's going on 25 years now. And I've worked in video games and toys, and now I teach how to do 3D characters full time. I run a course, it's called the 3D Character Workshop, which is right here. And I've been running that for about 5 years now. There's over 2,000 students. That still blows me away every time I say it. A lot of my students here are here. Do you practice painting? Not really. No, mainly just sculpting. Okay. And my methods are different than a lot of people's methods. A lot of people will just start with a sphere and crank up the resolution and then use like the clay buildup brush to build up clay and take it away and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different than me. Gustavo, great work as always. Thank you. Do you use any ARM support for your screen tablet? I have a tablet XP pen. It's a bit heavy. So the best, when I was working hours and hours at Disney, what I would do is I actually had a 24-inch Wacom tablet. And the reason I set up my user interface to look like this and act like this with this menu is because I didn't want to have to touch my keyboard. And so I have my keyboard on a tray underneath my Cintiq that I slide out of the way, and then I drop my Cintiq into my lap because it's the most comfortable position that I can sit in without too much fatigue on my back. Because if you're sitting and sculpting for 8 hours, that's a long time to sit and sculpt, right? So I mean, I would take breaks, but for the most part, that's the best with your tablet at like a 45-degree angle. And yeah, that's the way I like it. And just having, I liked the 24-inch because it had built-in buttons on the sides, and so I could just use those as my hotkeys. And now there's a remote that I don't really use anymore because for some reason, the one I have, this 27-inch, the remote just kind of slides off the edges, and so I can't really use it very comfortably. So I actually am using my keyboard on a tray underneath. So I don't work for Disney anymore. No. So after Disney Infinity, that's what I worked on. After it shut down, Warner Brothers came in and purchased the studio, and now that same studio is making, or has made Hogwarts Legacy. So those are all my good friends worked on that game, and I decided to move on from it. So I didn't stick around. Okay, back to it here. And my course is doing quite well, so yeah, I didn't plan on doing my course full time. It just kind of ended up that way. So if you're interested in my course, you can go check out 3dcharacterworkshop.com, and you can see all the info on it. Okay, let's see. Split. Neil just put the link right there if you want to check it out. I also give away my user interface and my brushes for free if you're interested in that as well. About those 3D prints, are those resin? They're resin. Yeah, they're just for a hobby. It's just fun to print out my own stuff. Yeah, I have a Form 3 printer, and I also have a Saturn printer that is still sitting in the box. I still need to pull it out and print some stuff with it. I just haven't had time. I never use the buttons on my tablet. I just use keyboard shortcuts. Yeah, that works for me as well. Do you ever sculpt traditionally? Not really. I want to, but not really. I'm spoiled with sculpting digitally, I think. But I'd like to. I have a lot of friends that do. I didn't have a under tray, so my keyboard is getting my tablet. Yeah, that's no fun to work that way. If you're gonna use a keyboard, the best way is to have it under your desk. Okay. Your tablet shopping again? For some reason my tablet's starting to cut off. Oh, that's no good. Seems related to when I'm using certain shortcuts. That is crazy weird. The color is going out on mine, so I may have to update my tablet soon. I just moved from an XP pen to on an ergonomic arm and mounted Huey on Mini. You like it? Okay, that's cool. You like that? That's awesome. That's weird. It gave me this weird line. Stopped using my canvas. I need to start back because it feels great. I got used to using the monitor again. The canvas and the monitor on the desk. Yeah, it takes up a lot of real estate, that's for sure. It's my local symmetry. This is really strange. Okay, that's better. Weird. Okay. Let's see. I thought the gas support arm could hold my tight tablet. Yeah, the problem with arms, usually they bounce. Unless your tablet is sitting against something solid like a desk. This is what I've heard. I've never really mounted my tablet to an arm, so I wouldn't know personally, but that's what I've heard. So my Form 3 and got 2 Elegant Saturn 3 12K. Was it worth it? Look, Lori, that's interesting to hear you say that. Did you had a Form 3? Okay. I have a Saturn 2, so not a Saturn 3. So it's the 8K version. And I still need to get it going. Hey, Ika, how are you? Yeah, the form printers are like the Apple printers. They're like if Apple were to make a 3D printer, I think that's because they have their own ecosystem, their own resin, their own settings, their own software for doing the supports. Yes, it is. Neil, I really need to do a video about that. Oh my goodness. Neil, remind me, I gotta talk to you after this about YouTube and things. Onyx, I have a 22-inch Cintiq on an Ergotron arm of some kind, but the main reason for it is so I can swing it out of the way when not working. Yeah, that right there is a big plus. You know, I have the Wacom stand that was like $400. And since I got it at the time and no, he's not in trouble at all. I have some ideas I want to pass by him. I've just been thinking a lot about YouTube and my channel and just some different types of videos. I don't want to promise anything. They're just thoughts right now. And I'm a huge fan of this guy in the music industry. His name is Rick Beato. Have you guys ever heard of him and his channel? He's like a music producer, but he knows a lot of people in the music industry. And he does some videos that are really, even though I like to dabble with music. I'm not really a musician of any sort. I wouldn't call myself a musician. But I like to watch that stuff. And he does these interviews with these really great musicians. Yeah, he's awesome. And he does like, you know, what makes this song great. And he'll break down this song and he'll tell you about like the different scales and riffs and the way the artists put it together. And you know, it's really interesting to me, even as a dabbling musician, I guess. And I was thinking about, you know, and I've thought about it in the past, and I tried to do it. I just never. I've been thinking about it again, and just doing like what makes this model great, or what makes this character great, and to just kind of highlight other artists in the field and say, you know, just kind of go over what makes a character model great. And then maybe I know a lot of people in the industry somehow, and just I'm really interested in interviewing some people in the industry. I'm just wondering if people would be interested in that. Hey Hans Zerig, what do I think about No Man's Sculpt? Well, you know, this is you're watching the official Maxon channel, and their competing product is Forager. So I don't really want to get into that right now, but just know that I've used it and I like it. Thanks, Mark. I'm really interested in figuring out some of that. So it's not just me sculpting and you watching, you know, all the time. Just trying to figure out more entertaining and interesting videos. Would you rather Substance Painter to painting or painting on ZBrush itself? I have some problems exporting to Polypaint, normal, and display some maps directly. Yeah, Gustavo, I would use something like something else besides Z. So there's a limitation with ZBrush when it comes to exporting maps, particularly normal maps. And the limitation is you can only export a map from the high resolution and the low resolution of that single subtool. So if you want to export, so in games, for example, a lot of the times I will, like, say if your character's belt had rivets or something, right? In ZBrush, all those rivets would be on a separate subtool. And then I would project or bake those maps down to a low resolution mesh that does not contain those rivets, right? So the rivets would get baked into the normal maps. Well, with ZBrush, you can't really do that. You can't bake multiple high-resolution objects to one single low-resolution object. So it doesn't really work that way. But you can use it. You can use ZBrush and it's exporting. Like there's a plugin called Multi-Map Exporter, and it's right. I think it's over here. Multi-Map Exporter, and you can. I've been using Character Creator recently, and it uses UDIMs. And UDIMs are basically like several UV coordinates. Without getting too deep into it, most characters for games, they use a single UV coordinate, but for films and television, there's multiple. And Character Creator uses multiple. And ZBrush doesn't really handle it as far as importing a character with multiple textures, but you can export them out. And you can export them out using this multi-map exporter. And all that does is it takes the UDIMs that exist and makes multiple texture sheets from it. But you can't, unfortunately, you can't display them in ZBrush all at once. The CC4 plugin, I haven't used it. Really good for ZBrush. Do you use it to bake maps? Okay. I'm going to shrink this up more. Okay, sorry, there's a lot of questions today, which I love, but it also kind of slows me down a little bit when it comes to sculpting. Let's get a little color in here. Maybe a little more warmth. Something like that. Posing. Okay, interesting. I'm currently working on a character with more of a stylized realism look. Will you be going over any techniques, tips, or brushes that would help reach a higher level of fidelity? Not really. You can kind of look back at some of my videos and see the style I like to hit, which is very stylized, not stylized realism. I think Michael Pavlovich does some stylized realism. So does Pablo Munez Gomez. He does some too. Check out theirs. The blocking is very important. The blocking is the most important, in my opinion. It's like making a cake. If the cake isn't good, there's no amount of frosting that's going to make it taste right. C4 is pretty good now that I've got it working. Interesting. What's the best way to measure 3D model dimensions? It's interesting that you ask that. Are you asking for, well, I'll just show you how I do it. So ZBrush has very generic units that you can kind of conform to be whatever scale you want. And I've made this ruler right here, and I give it away for free over on my website, 3D Character Workshop. You can go get it. It comes with my brushes, so if you see it, it says free brushes. Those brushes also come with my user interface and this ruler file. And this ruler is kind of how I measure things. And you can use it, since it's in metric, you can use it for meters, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you need to use it for. And it's set up in, so 2 meters right here. I use this ruler to go back and forth between Character Creator and ZBrush. And the way I do that is there's a plugin, and it's called, where is it? ZBrush Pose Tools right here, and it has a scale thing here. And you can select, if you have the ruler selected, and you know that this is 200 millimeters tall. Well, it's actually 200 centimeters tall, the way it goes back and forth between Character Creator. You can type 200 in this height, and then hit resize, and it'll go through and it'll resize the scene. But what's weird is it will push the selection to the last subtool, and so you have to say no, and then select it again, and then say now resize it, and it'll go, okay, so your current subtool has a height of 2 centimeters, do you want to change it? And then you say yes. And so now all it does is it changes the export size. Sorry, this is getting a little deep, a little off key, but it just changes your export scale to 100. And what that will do is that will make it so you can go back and forth between Maya really easily. You can go back and forth between Character Creator very easily, and anything that uses meters. So if you set, like, say, Blender to meters or Cinema 4D to meters, you can go back and forth between those programs in meters. But I also use this ruler for in millimeters to print out these characters behind me, and then it gives me a good measurement. And then when I use the print exporter, this called 3D Print Hub right here, it's the same thing. If I set this to millimeters and I set the size to 200, when I have the ruler selected, the ruler kind of acts as a scene bounding box and gives me a known size, and then everything else that you export with that ruler will be exported at a size relative to the ruler. I know that's like a big, like, but just know that if you have the ruler selected, change this to millimeters, change this to 200, and you export your scene out with the ruler selected, then it will work. And it will work at a very, very precise scale. So there you go. I have not printed out anything recently. I need to. I've been thinking about printing out that Space Girl that I did, but I don't know. There's that that Wolverine of Sean Galloway's that I sculpted. I would love to print that one out too. Yeah, but I haven't. Hey, somebody just bought the course. If you're in here and watching, thank you very much. That means a lot. Okay. So let's get a nose on here. The one, yeah, that one. Uh-huh. Just give her a little. It's so funny because when you first put this in, it reminds me of Bert's nose from Sesame Street. Until I adjust it down. What 3D printer do you recommend? That's a tough one. It depends on your budget and your need. So if you're printing like very large cosplay objects like bows and knives and or like D&D terrain or anything like that, I recommend getting an extrusion printer. So that will let you print things at a large scale, It's not nearly as messy. The filament is much cheaper, but if you're going to print out something like these are printed with a resin printer. It's very smelly, very messy, very expensive. So my favorite printers are the Formlabs printers. Miniatures in my budget is around $700. So I have it's called an Anycubic Photon. So something like that. Elegoo has one, Anycubic has one, and there's other brands that make them as well. And they make some really small resin printers that you can print out minis with. Yeah. So yeah, just check out Elegoo and Anycubic. Yeah, the Anycubic Photon. I have one of those. I've never printed anything on it. I just bought it at a very nice sale. Yep, you're welcome, Ellen. Happy printing. Okay. Let's get the mouth going. I've been really enjoying this mouth method that I've been doing. I did on the last stream, and I think I'm going to do it again because it's just so controllable. Is that what you have, Ika, as an Anycubic? Yeah, kind of the top contenders are Anycubic and Elegoo. And I highly recommend watching Uncle Jesse's YouTube channel. And he walks you through a bunch of... He's kind of sponsored by Elegoo, and he talks about those a lot, but he does have some Anycubic printers as well. Okay, sorry, I'm being very delicate with this one, with the movements. But let's see if we can get the mouth going. Let's reset this first. The new one I got was the M3. Nice. Yeah, shout out to Uncle Jesse. He's great. Okay, so I've been enjoying using like a sphere that I smash down like this, and then I'll cut it, and half of it will be used for the upper lip and the other half will be used for the lower lip. I really like this method because it gives that kind of, your lips wrap around your teeth, right? And so you're trying to get kind of that arc of the, you know, the lips wrapping around the teeth. And it doesn't match the same arc as the forehead or the cheek line. It's different. So it's nice to give yourself a little help and an arc that you can use by way of a inserted sphere. So I'm going to push this back. Okay. This basic tool that you clicked and drag is present on ZBrush. Are you talking about this brush right here? This is this is a brush I created. Again, you can go get that over on my website at 3D Character Workshop. And I give them away for free so you can play with them. But ZBrush does come with a handful of primitives. You can, if you go into this gear right here, there's a bunch of primitives just right there. And then you can also, if you hit B, there are some brushes like these. If you hit BI for insert multi-mesh, there's these two primitives right here. You can use those as well. But I created these specifically for my use. This is a subdivided sphere, 4 different subdivision levels. a cube cylinder that has a quad cap instead of a tent cap. And then this is an appendage brush, which is just an elongated sphere with some extra geometry in it. I use them all the time, and I give them away for free. So if you want those, go ahead. Okay. So let's grab this mouth, and I'm going to split it off. Okay, and then duplicate. So now I have two of them. One will be the top lip, one will be the lower lip. When I use mirrored object, spawning far away, and I always have to get it in position manually. What mirror are you using? I usually use mirror and weld. Yeah, this mirror and weld right here, which is located under tool, geometry, mirror and weld. I don't typically use the mirror under the plugin, the subtool master plugin. There's also a mirror here. I don't use that one as much. Okay, so let me make this lip really quick. Are you talking about the so it depends on this local symmetry. If you turn that off, it's going to mirror it across the world axis. If you have this turned on, it's going to mirror it around the local axis. It's its own axis. So make sure you turn that off. You can turn on the floor to view it, and then have it on the one side where you want it, and then mirror it across with local symmetry turned off. So that'll probably help you. Can you teach us how to use manipulator after pressing the Y key? The weirdment? Are you talking about the transpose line? I don't know what... Oh, this thing. Yeah, this is the old transpose line. Yeah, I don't really use this anymore other than for bending and posing. So I use the gizmo, and this gizmo is better to use. So yeah, I would just avoid using the transpose line. It's kind of outdated. And just use this gizmo. But the reason I like to use it for posing is because it acts as kind of a temporary bone that I use. And it would take me a while to go into. I do go into depth and how to use it in my course if you're really interested in using it. And I think Polygon still uses it. I still use it occasionally. Actually, manipulator can use to cut, shape in perfect length, bend bones, and many more in its traditional one. Yeah, I sometimes use it still. That's what I'm saying. But I prefer the gizmo much more. And as I said, I go into depth on how to use it in my course. I just don't have time to sit and go through it right now. Yeah, instead of cutting it, this is actually better, Mark. I like, because it kind of gives me that extra geometry. Because, see, I pushed it all up And so it kind of gives me this ridge line that's pretty nice. I made a cube a little too thin and my brushes went through because I forgot to change some brush settings. The brush setting you're after is called back face mask. On my interface, it's actually right here. And you can find it under brush auto masking back face. And so yeah, that's what you need to use. And is there a way to fix it without starting over? What I would do is I would delete everything and just keep it a plane, just a single plane, and work with that, and then use dynamic subdivision with thickness, or just extrude it again. And that way you can, that's how I typically fix it. Yeah, it does keep the planes clean, just kind of, and you know, lips have that kind of a rounded bottom, and when I slice it, it makes it super flat, so it's hard to bring back that roundness to it. And this kind of makes it a little easier to do that. I like it. Yep, sure. You see that roundness, and then I can just kind of grab this move infinite and just kind of do the scoop on the bottom. Push it in a little bit. And it's easy because I don't accidentally select the upper lip. There's lots of benefits to it. And I can get that nice corner of the mouth right here. What's your thought on AI taking jobs? I don't really have an opinion on that just yet. I'm kind of on in a wait and see pattern. As far as characters go, I think I'd be a lot more concerned if I was a concept artist. But the problem is it's not really, you can't really art direct it very well. It will just give you another image instead of trying to fix something. So that makes it very difficult to use in any kind of a production setting. And then as far as 3D models are concerned, there's really not enough data for it to scrape to pump out 3D models. What about AI over repeated work? Yeah, I kind of wish they were focusing on UVs and retopo, right? Instead of taking the actual art side of it. AI over repeated work. I don't know what you mean by that. Actually, please explain. I'm just gonna kind of. I always try and get it to go up behind the nose, but sometimes it doesn't always work. Yeah, auto, look, it looks like a mustache now. Auto retopo and UVs, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, honestly, look, I feel the same way about retopo and UVs. It's like a puzzle to solve. I really wish I could show some of the UVs and retopo that I've done in the past. Especially, I did a character for Overwatch a while back, and the retopo and UVs for that was, oops, quite intense, but fun. Yeah, I can't. They're under NDA. I would get sued by Blizzard. They'd come knocking at my door. Overwatch is stylized, yet UV is hard. Because it's very complex. Stylized does not mean easy, just so you know. Yeah, and I had to, I mean, I did Zenyatta, and he is made of lots of metal parts. And all those metal parts had to be straightened in the UVs. And that takes a lot. And then I had to pack all those straightened pieces by hand. It's not just an automated process. Am I squishing the freaking eyes? Dang it. I didn't mean to actually sculpt the eyeballs. Come on, there we go. That's what I wanted. Just trying to get that back pinch of the eye. Okay, I'm gonna get her eyelid going. Compared to a normal human character, what do you think? Which? It depends on the outfit. I mean, I can show you which one I did. I can show you the character, I just can't show you the UV sheet. I can tell you which character I worked on, I just can't show you the behind the scenes part. But I made this. And this. So, all these metal parts. With the sheet. Yeah, so, and all of these little things, this all had to be UV'd, all these parts and pieces. And on one sheet with everything, so. Yeah, it's good times. With the sheet. Okay, sorry, I gotta focus for just a second. Transparent. Oh, thanks, George. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to throw baseballs at people. Can I ask why Blizzard doesn't allow UVs in Topo to be shown? Anyone can extract the models and see those. They just told me not to, so I agree. I don't know why. It's not really a trade secret or anything. So I don't know. Go a little bit bigger with, well, you know what? I'm gonna go just a single-sided surface. And then add thickness this way for a minute, so I can control it a little better. There's no UDIMs. It's one. You're no longer using the bare hands plugin. No, I'm not. I was getting way too many questions about it. It was too distracting. This mouth thing is making her look snooty. Yeah, the Zenyatta model does not have UDIMs. Typically, game characters don't have UDIMs. Those are for film and television characters. It's getting to be more and more, but typically they're not. Hey, what's up, Eric? I know. Makes me laugh. Every time. Now she looks like angry, pouty. Okay, let's see. Did I miss any questions? Oh, smooth. Somebody's asking about smooth and alt smooth. Yeah, alt smooth is just relax. So it's like relax in any other program. It's like relax. So if you start smoothing by holding down shift and then you let go of shift while you're smoothing, then it will turn into a relax brush. And it will just relax the geometry across the surface without destroying the volume. And I almost use it more than the regular smooth brush. Your thoughts if AI generators collaborated with artists and paid every artist that would contribute to the training data? Yeah, Marvin, I've actually posed that before in past streams. But I think the information is too segregated. I think it would be too difficult to manage. So, like I'm listening to Spotify right now, right? And how Spotify works is people pay for a membership. And then musicians will put their albums into Spotify for the subscribers to quote-unquote scrape, right? They listen to the songs. And then if somebody listens to their song, then that artist gets paid. So same kind of thing. The system's already set up. So if there were artists that would put their art into the scraping pool or into Spotify, and then the AI would use their art and as a percentage of the output, then that artist would get a kickback from the subscribers using the AI. That's kind of the idea, but it's just songs are easier to deal with because they're an entire song that someone's listening to. But if a piece of art gets scraped and it's too there's too many shards to the problem, so it wouldn't really work that way or work that well. If you had a chance, which video game character would you want to model? That's a great question. I'll have to think about that. You want to extrude like the ice skin? What kind of workflow did you use? Oh, so I drew it out with the topology brush, and then I changed my brush size to draw size 1. If you do that, it'll make a single-sided plane, and then I just added dynamic subdivisions, and then I added dynamic thickness. You can find that in the geometry tab under dynamic subdiv right here. It's all right there. You can just add the dynamic thickness. And see how it's just a single-sided thing. So I just drew the topology on with this topology brush. I'm going to use the Z modeler to insert a couple support edges down here. So then it won't be so curved out in the ends. Okay, and then another thing I like to do is turn my crease level down to like a 2, and then crank this up to like a 3, and then it'll drop that edge. No, it's not doing. I have to actually I have to apply it. So I'm going to turn down the subdivision levels to 1, and then apply the thickness. Get rid of the thickness and turn the subdivisions back up to 3, and that should do it. Yeah, there you go. Now I don't have dynamic thickness anymore, I have real thickness. Okay, and this is it's already been an hour. I'm being slow today. You guys have some great questions though, so keep them coming. I need to start combining these objects together so I can get rid of these seams in between things. And get rid of this snooty look she's got going. So let's do that right now. Let's actually combine these things together. I'm going to turn off dynamic subdivisions. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So before you stitch stuff together, it's a good idea to have all the objects be a similar density, a similar poly count, I guess. I'm going to hide these ears, and well, I'll combine the neck too, and the nose. So I'm going to split hidden, get those ears out of here, and then I'm going to combine these upper lips into the head as well. And the fastest way, it's so funny, it looks such like a mustache. So let's see, where is this one? This is this one. I'm going to save this first. Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to merge this down. Okay, now that I have this, I'm going to subdivide it once and then remove lower just to have more resolution like this. And honestly, I could stitch it at this point. That's close enough. Very particular. Yep, I know what you're saying. Okay. I'm gonna push this nose in just a little bit more, make it just slightly more dainty, petite. Let's call it petite. Okay, now I'm gonna flood fill this whole thing though with tessellation geometry, which is this right here. Yeah, because that'll even up the topology even more. So now I can stitch it together. Turn off mirroring, stick this in the center, realign it, and then go in this gear and click on this remesh by union, which will stitch all my pieces together, and it'll get rid of any interior geometry, which is nice. Okay, I'll accept that. And now all of that geometry is stitched together even though it doesn't look like it, and now I can smooth out all my seams. That's funny. I actually thought about Arthur. That's one of them I thought about. He's a little too realistic for my taste. Okay, let's see. According to what will be the next job opportunity will come in game or film industry and art side part, like character. I honestly, I'll be honest with you. I don't think about that stuff. Honestly, I follow my passion. I don't follow the money or the opportunity. And maybe that's not the smartest thing to do, but because the quality of your art will show through if you're passionate about it. If you're just doing it to get the paycheck, it's not. You're not gonna devote the time or the effort and all that it takes to make good quality art. So that's kind of my answer. Is I know it's not the answer you're looking for. Is stitching preferable to Dynameshing? It is for me because it doesn't rebuild the mesh. It only just stitches things together, and so that allows me to keep the stitches that I want. So now what I'll typically do is switch over to Sculptris Pro, and then move this slider down, and then let's see, just do a little test to see. There we go. Okay, make sure symmetry is turned on, and then just smooth these lines out, and I can crank my Z intensity up. It's kind of like asking a musician, like, what, you know, are you going to play country, or you're going to play rock or whatever? And it depends on what you're into. You know, you shouldn't go play country music if you're a rock musician just because there's more opportunity there. Because you're not going to be as good at it. You're just not. Because your passion's not going to be there. I use music analogies a lot in my teaching, I've come to find out. I just think because music is an artistic endeavor, just like sculpting, and it takes kind of the same dedication and passion and practice to get good at sculpting as it does to learn a musical instrument. But if you're looking for money and an opportunity, I would say get into rigging. Yeah, it is. Have you done a sculpt where you take a model and transform it, like make it an older version of itself or something? I haven't, Marvin, because typically I sculpt from a concept. I don't start with something I've already made and make it something else. That sounds like a really fun exercise, though. The only time when I sculpt a character that isn't from a concept is when I'm trying to do like a caricature of someone, and then I'll go gather a whole bunch of reference and then make a caricature of that person. That's the only time I don't base something off of a concept. Yeah, rigging, the reason they make more money is because nobody wants to do it. It's not fun. It can be fun. It can be a technical puzzle, just like UVing or retopology. I've done it, and but it's needed. It's a very needed thing, necessary. Talking about this, my dream is working with games. I'm updating my portfolio on LinkedIn and Behance, and I'm applying 3D jobs, but having a return. Where do I start? That's a good question, and a question I get often. And basically, my advice is always a portfolio exists to serve one purpose. Well, unless you're just wanting to show friends and family, but the main purpose is to show companies and people who hire artists that you can do the thing that they need you to do. That's the whole reason behind a portfolio. So if you come at it from that angle, and you're just trying to show companies that you can do the thing that they need you to do, then just you want to show as much of that as you possibly can. So if you want to do rigging, show rigging. If you want to do stylized character modeling, show that. If you want to get into games, you have to make sure that you show game models. You need to show them that you can do that. You typically won't get a job if you just show a high resolution character that's been nicely rendered. That's not going to get you a game job. You have to show that you can do all of it, the rest of it. Because they don't want to train you in how to do it. They want you to hit the ground running and be able to, again, do what they need you to do. And if your portfolio doesn't show that, then that's where you need to focus your training and your time and your practice and figure out what it is you need to do to make your portfolio show that you can do the things that they need you to do. I hope that makes sense. And do it well, I guess. And it shouldn't take any extra explaining from you. They should just be able to see it and know if you can do the job or not. Quicks, I'm actually working with those guys. I'm wanting to make a video on how to use the character creator plugin. It's super nice, and the character creator software itself is really nice. Hey, what's up, David? Let's see. Like you said, they don't want to teach. I fear this, but I'm studying so much assets and character low poly to sell my portfolio. Yeah, and you can look at other good portfolios. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, how do you know what is a good portfolio, right? And it also depends on the target company that you're going for. You need to also show that company that you need to you can do the job. How would you show a portfolio for the 3D printing? I would show actual I would show characters that you 3D printed and even painted, like the final result. Because again, you're just trying to show them that you know how to do the thing that they want you to do. You don't necessarily need to know how to do keys and things like that. So I've had some friends work for Hasbro, and Hasbro did train them on how to do articulation. So yeah, more tool videos. Yeah, so Pablo Munez Gomez has a great one, and Michael Pavlovich has a great series on how to use that. But they're more about using the AccuRig side of things with Character Creator. And there's also a base mesh called Character Creator Avatar. It's more of a realistic character. You can also use that to go back and forth, and it kind of auto rigs it for you. It's crazy. But then there's this plugin over here. Well, I'll show it to you in a second. But there's a plugin where you can kind of store your poses, which is really nice. And that plugin is free. Character Creator costs money, but the plugin is free. Okay. So I was just going to show you a little example. So this is my portfolio. And like these are all toys. And this is a game character, but this one specifically, if you want to go check this one out. This is a very low resolution game character. So, and this Marmoset viewer is nice to show companies that you know how to do what you want to do. And if you click on this little thing right here and you go to topology, you can see how low this is game topology right here. Very low resolution, clean game topology. And then you can check like the gloss maps, reflectivity, the color maps. So this is a really good way to display a game character to game studios, is to give them something, a finished game character that they can look at. And I just popped this out of Marmoset tool bag, so this is the Marmoset viewer. But anyway, that's, in my opinion, because I've hired game artists before, this is my favorite way to look at characters to see if people know what they're talking about and how to do what they need to do. So, okay, man, I gotta make a lot of adjustments to this. It's after, it's so crazy because usually I'm adjusting the eyes more than anything. And coming back after looking at that Kate character. So that character I just showed you, that is the character that I walk you through from start to finish, making a portfolio character exactly like that in my 3D character workshop right here. So if you're interested in learning how to make game characters just like that, and I walk you through two of them. One of them is a character called Sirloin of Beef, but that's a male character with some hard surface stuff and yeah, all sorts of things. So if you're interested in learning that, I offer a course online. You can get it there. Yeah, there's the link for it. Thanks, Neil. Okay. So, I want this and this. Sirloin of beef. Hey Layla, how are you? Thank you very much. I'm kind of struggling to hit it. I'm in the valley of the suck right now, trying to find it. That's a Ryan Kingsland term, valley of the suck. You gotta, reminds me of the Shawshank Redemption. You gotta crawl through the pipe to get to the other side. Is there any best way to remember all the brushes and their functionality? Yeah, limit your brush usage to a very limited amount of brushes. So for example, all these brushes across the bottom right here, those are the brushes I pretty much use, and I don't really use any other ones other than that. So it's less you have to memorize, and then you just use them over and over and over again. Okay, let's get... Yeah, I don't know if I've ever not crawled through the pipe. Unless it's like a complete happy accident, you know? I think when I was making Randall from Monsters, Inc., he was a really simple character, and I think he just looked like Randall right out of the gate. I didn't have to do much. But that was a rare occasion indeed. Recommend joining a company's online forums that you're interested in. Ask questions about what they do and how they do it. That's a really good advice, Lori. Pipeline what they're looking for. It's worked for me in the past. That's fantastic advice. Yeah, their Discord. Very, very good. Is that pinch brush you use just to custom? Yeah, I give away these brushes. This one is based off of a custom brush from Malachus, the black, but it's called Ma Cut, and this is based off of his brush. It's just my pinch brush. And this detail brush is based off of, it started its life as a damn standard brush, and I'd made some tweaks to it. Then this is an SK cloth brush, an SK fill brush, and this started as a orb crack brush. This is an SK polish, I think. So got to give shout out to the original creators of these. Sometimes I feel like I'm that guy that just like takes it and just kind of goes, you know, like paints something like Squidward when he sticks his nose on that that piece. That's mine. No, I did more to it than that, but sometimes I feel that way. So I gotta give shout out to the original creators of those brushes. Yeah, SK is another streamer on here. Does some really fantastic anime characters. Okay, this is struggling to find the appeal on this one. And I think I know why, but we'll get there. I think it's this area through here. Using that sphere mouth method has kind of come back to bite me a little bit here. Sorry, I'm just focusing for a second. Trying to get this figured out. Yeah, the pinch brush, this pinch brush in particular, it's I just like how it feels a lot. So for example, if I wanted to kind of help myself with this cheek plane right here, I could just kind of run it across. And if I show the geometry, you can see what it's doing. It's gathering that geometry together like a pinch. Whoa. Sometimes it does that. And then I come back with a very strong smooth brush and smooth it back down. Sometimes just helps myself get the planes in place. And this jaw is way too big. Sometimes I get answering questions and I'm just going through the motions and not paying attention to what I'm doing until I'm like, oh, that looks like crap. Oh, that looks like crap. Another tip, if you're looking into gaming companies, find out what engine they use and learn scripting for that engine, and it shows you can be flexible. Lori, that's something I've never done. That's a really interesting advice on that. Yeah, part of the bigger team, especially if you're going to be working for like an independent game developer where several of the team members wear several of the hats. Like, because it's not all the time that a company will need characters. So if you can say, hey, I can do some scripting too, while I'm not making characters, they'll be like, hey, we'll keep you around. I've done scripting for Maya for rigging, but that's kind of like just watch, having Maya watch what I do and then copy it and then save it and then do it again. Hey David, when do your live stream start? I was just alerted to the stream by Discord at 2. We already had the basic shape of the head built. Every single Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time is when I start. Yep, I think I've done that for the last 5 years. I think I'm over 200 episodes now. I don't know for sure. Gosh, it's looking okay from the side, and then I go to turn to the front. It's like, oh, That's 2 p.m. on the East Coast. Learn the full pipeline for characters with the engines, and you are a Swiss Army artist. Yeah, Eric is one of those people. Yeah, it's good advice. A lot of game companies have their own engines, though. I'll have to put that out there. More and more are using like Unity or Unreal. But like for example, when I worked at Avalanche, they had their own game engine. They just recently went to Unreal for the Harry Potter game, but yeah, before that they had their own. Hey Wilworth, how do you approach those anime-ish eyes in that concept? It basically boils down to the eye shape for the style of it. I think it'll come together when I get the eyelashes in there, and then I actually can paint the irises in. But my first film job was a gopher, then moved to apprentice matte painter. Long ago. Is it? Wow, that's awesome. I always thought I'd work in film, but I just ended up a local company made it so I didn't have to move, because Disney bought a company that was already here in I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, so it was already here. I just kind of lucked out that way and didn't have to move to LA or anything. Okay, I gotta do some fine tuning here. Get that lip up there. If you notice, I just do little nudges for the most part. Little nudges. I equate it to kind of focusing a camera. It starts out all fuzzy and nasty looking, and then the more you just, hopefully the more you tweak on it, the better the appeal gets. Speaking of Avalanche, I worked a lot with Josh Black, the concept artist of this piece. He concepted a lot of the Disney Infinity characters. So I'm used to sculpting his stuff. Is that Disney place you worked at in Salt Lake City still around? Yeah, it's Avalanche Software. They got purchased by Warner Brothers, and they did the Hogwarts Legacy game. I was replaced by a green screen. Oh, out of Boston, so you weren't in LA. That's interesting. Use Substance Painter for character concepts, or does Poly Paint work well enough? I usually just use Poly Paint because of the style of characters that I do, but if I were to take these into any sort of realism beyond this, I would absolutely take it into Substance Painter. Yeah, it's just too powerful to ignore. But for basic colors, I definitely just use Poly Paint. And this kind of looks like bad plastic surgery, girl. Probably due to those lips. I'm not sure yet. Would use a different subtool for eyebrows. Yeah, I'm getting to that soon here. And that helps a lot. I just like to get my block out finished before I start adding the lashes and brows. Okay, that was part of it. Always look at your models from all directions. I'm finding some issues. Why she looks the way she does. That helped. Okay. There's still this area I'm not a fan of at all. Right here. Not so much here or here, but right here. What movie is that from? Richard. We tried Baldur's Gate 3? Of course I have. I really like how the character models look. Very nice quality. Yep. They're great. Yeah, I'm a huge D&D nerd, so I made my D&D character in Baldur's Gate. Dwarf cleric named Khan. Khan Stonebeard. I haven't played it too much, though. I don't have too much time for those things. Yeah, it's good. If you ever played, is it called Divinity Original Sin? I think it's the same team that did that. So it's just turn-based RPG combat kind of thing. If you like turn-based D&D, it's just like that. D&D player myself, but I never played any Baldur's Gate games. So yeah, it is very. I mean, you even roll dice and everything. So for your checks and whatnot, and it's yeah, they do a pretty good job with it. That's the truth. Yeah, life of a game artist, spend more time making stuff for games than playing them. Yeah, that's I can't even count on one hand how many students will be like, I play games, so now I want to work in games, which is fine, but that's not how you make games. And what's interesting to me is a lot of people in the game development portion, like developers, don't play any games at all. Like, they're just not into it. Which was surprising to me. Okay, I'm gonna get some lashes and brows in here so it stops bugging me. So whoever was asking me about how I made the eyelids, I'm doing it the same way. Well, that, and a lot of times it's like artists that are just artists and they end up working in games just because that's what's available, not because that's what they wanted to do. or programmers that are just programmers and that's the job they could find is programming games, even though they would be just as suited, you know, it's programming like apps or something like that instead. Yeah, there are a lot of like at Avalanche, for example, there's a lot of concept artists that are fine artists that come out of like BYU and stuff like that, and they don't want to leave Utah, so they end up working in games because that's what's available in Utah. Okay, let's do some creasing around here. Do you need to build characters to scale in ZBrush as you would in Maya, or are the models scaled later? I usually build them to scale. I'm just starting with ZBrush. I want to learn how to create characters ready for animation. Is there something I have to put focus before exporting to another software? So what do you mean, Ricardo? Like, if you're trying to get animation ready characters, you need to retopologize them to prepare them for deformation. And I typically actually don't do the retopology inside of ZBrush. I'll do it somewhere else. So it's there's a lot to it. So you don't necessarily create animation ready characters inside of ZBrush, to answer your question. You know, I'm doing all this edge work. I think I want to make them soft. I'm going to uncrease all this and make them soft. Like that. Why is ZBrush bad at retopology? Because it's not meant for that. It's a digital sculpting program. It's not a asset, like a game or animation asset program. So to finish it off, you take it somewhere else, you know? I mean, if you use the music analogy again, it's kind of like this is your guitar and the music you make, and then other programs are like the amplifier. You know, you got to take them somewhere else to actually make them usable. Would you also use ZBrush for hard surface modeling? Yeah, absolutely. Because the number one reason is because it's fast. It's very fast. But again, you most likely will have to retopologize it to make it usable somewhere else. Okay. I'm trying not to sing. Usually I sing when I model. Driving my family crazy. So funny. Sometimes I find myself working like all the way down here. And I'm like, what am I doing? Do you know why Topology Brush doesn't want to work with straight line curve option? Oh, sorry, you asked that, Lori. You tried on stream yesterday, but no luck. So, I don't understand what that means. The straight line option? I don't know that I use that. Are you talking about the as line in the stroke menu? I can't remember where that is. I never use it. There's like 80% of this program I still don't use. It's so, I can't remember where it is. As line right there, yeah? So, oh, you just repeated it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, as line. So, you're asking why the topology brush, this brush, doesn't use it? I don't know. Yeah, it's working. There you go. Yeah, that's making straight lines. Is that, you say it's not working for you? Yeah, just after you turn on the topology brush, then just go up here and click on as line and it should work for you. I need to remember that's there. It doesn't want to create polys with it for, oh, I see. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. So as line. It might be pushing the line through. Yeah, that's why. Okay. See how it's not sticking to the surface? It's actually dipping down into the surface. And the lines need to cross. And if it's down inside the surface, see how they're not touching? That's why. Yeah. There's your answer. So the lines have to touch. So I bet if I did it, turning that off, I did the kind of the same thing. And if I turn it to the edge, see how it's following the curvature of the head? That's why. Okay, good question. Yeah, I don't know why the as line doesn't follow the curvature of the geometry underneath it. But I think it's like starting one edge and pointing at the other edge. I know that there's the retopology process before animation. I was asking before that process inside ZBrush, is there something I have to be concerned? ZBrush before retopology? I mean, there's a lot, yeah, for sure. And mainly it has to do with like hanging bits, like say ends of hairs, for example, things that you're going to have to retopologize. You have to think about all that kind of stuff. So like you have to think about, and you'll get more versed in it as you practice it and you retopologize things, but you kind of have to think about what you're going to have to retopologize. And it's kind of a planning phase as you go through everything. Like what high resolution meshes are you going to project to the low resolution meshes to make them work in a low resolution animation format, so to speak. So, and you don't want to have you don't want to have a mesh that has that's hollowed out inside. Usually I'll cap my meshes off so it's much easier to retopologize, like sleeves and stuff like that. I'm not going to have a shirt that has an interior to it because that's really difficult to retopologize. It's difficult to rig, and it just doesn't work very well. Even high resolution shirts for film, they get a thickness put on them after the fact, and they're just like a single-sided mesh typically. What did you do? What did you toggle for the line? Follow the curvature of the model instead? I just turned as line off. So it's under the stroke menu. It's called as line. So if you have that turned on, it's going to make your curve just be a line, but it won't follow the geometry. Gravy baby, I'm been having trouble sculpting heads. Do you have any tips or any resources? So for the most part, I would say, yeah, just practice and brush up on your anatomy, your facial anatomy. And even if you know it like I do, I'm still still struggle. But like I said, I have a whole course on it. Let's see. And you can also just get a stylized, appealing concept and try and match it, and try and find the appeal in that sculpt. That's a good thing to practice. There we go. I should have pulled this forward earlier before I made the brows, but that's okay. She has kind of a smaller lower lip. I really want to push that in. Yeah, Mark, as much as I like that kind of technique, I find myself like it causes issues too that I have to work around. Yeah, I think I'm gonna merge this mouth, the lower lip, into the head now. Just I'm fighting this line right here. Hey, what's up, Peter? How you doing? Thanks. I like what it's looking like from the side, but from the front it still has some... Trying to figure out where... Okay, let's get some eyelashes going on. Maybe that'll... Sometimes that helps. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's good for putting the muzzle in there, but then you're like fighting to, especially with a stylized character, you're fighting to rewind that a little bit, is the best way to put it. Increase the detail right here. How are you going to approach the clothing? Will you just make up what you don't see? Yeah, for sure. Just find an outfit. Because it's barely there, right? It's kind of like a... I can see a bit of a shoulder, some poofy cloth right through here. But yeah, I'm more concerned about just the appeal of that face, trying to nail that. How many ways are there to create geometry? A lot. A lot. I have a whole, in fact, I have a whole section on it in my course. All the different ways that you can create geometry in ZBrush. Okay. I keep seeing things and I'm like, oh, I gotta fix that. Gotta fix that. Okay, we can turn Sculptus off for a second. I couldn't be in the monthly challenge feedback stream. You asked for tune shader I usually use SK Anime Matte Cap. Oh, nice. Or some custom BPR. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, it looked nice. I liked it. Okay. For this one, I think I'm just going to do a single-sided mesh to start with. Come on, you can do it. Look at all these little dots. Just do it. There it goes. Okay. Sometimes when you change it to draw size 1 to do that, it doesn't take. So you have to try it several times. So now I can turn on dynamic, increase all, crank up the thickness, turn off post process or post subdiv. See, it's already looking better. Eyelashes are like such a huge thing. Such an important part of a stylized character too, the shape. Sometimes I'll adjust the shape of the eyelashes first, and then I'll come back and shape out the eyelid to match it, which is kind of what I'm doing here. Okay, let's see here. Let's do a support edge in here just to make this a little sharper. Let's crease. Okay, so now it just creates this sharper edge, and I think I'm going to run one down the length of it actually. Maybe just one side. We'll try it and see what it looks like. Okay, let me know if I missed any questions. Doing facial expressions are my favorite part of sculpting. The face, I get to play with different shapes. Absolutely, it's so much fun. Now ZBrush is fantastic for doing that because it's so sculpty, right? You're like sculpting the face. And yeah, Lori, I have it having white eyes again right now. Now I always think about that because you mentioned something. Ghost eyes. Possessed by the devil. That's how Jack Black says devil. Devil. When you're curious. Do you ever think about making figures again? Yeah, I do actually. I had the opportunity, well, I've had a few opportunities to do so. I made one for Q-Figs and I don't think it ever got produced. And Disney kind of made a line called the Toy Box line, and they only sold them at the Disney stores and at the parks. They basically took a lot of the Disney characters, added articulation to them, and then made them new characters. So I think, and then they made more that we didn't make, you know. And I think they did a good job, and I had an opportunity to help them out. But I really didn't follow that trail because at the time I was kind of tired of it, you know? I was kind of done. But I think it would be fun to go back and do figures again. Okay. On this one, I'm kind of going back and forth. It's sitting right on that eyeball. Okay. But I've been thinking a lot about like doing a YouTube series of what if this character was in like Infinity, or what's that fighting game? My art director from Disney Infinity went and worked on that game. Gosh dang it. Help me out. What's the name of that fighting game that's stylized with all the DC characters? Gosh, I can't think of it for some reason. Multiverses, yes, thank you, Shay. Yeah, so and Josh actually did a bunch of the concepts for that game. So if it's like, you know, what would a character look like in that game? Or, I mean, Fortnite's kind of borderline. It's a little more realistic. Just want to see what happens if I pull that back just a little bit more. ABC is such a fun band from the 80s. That's what I'm listening to right now. Keelan, love your work. Big fan of the Disney Infinity line. Wish I got those figures before the game shut down. Need to collect some. Yeah, they're still around. Still get them for pretty cheap. Maybe from the show. Oh yeah, Arcane. Yeah, those are. Yeah, shoot that poison. No, it was Book of Love. I think. No, it was a look or the Look of Love. Look of Love. Look of Love. Okay. Can you get hard edge cast shadows in ZBrush? You can if you render. But you have to render it. It's not real time. Man, this is still bugging the heck out of me. Something is not. Oh, I just saw it. Okay, here we go. Her face is too squashed. Too squashed. Let's fix it. That's part of it. I always say, like, finding the likeness or finding a concept, it's the thing that drives me. It's the thing that challenges me. And it's like unlocking a safe, like cracking a safe. You know, you're like listening to it and like, oh, there's a number, there's a number. I talk about this a lot in my courses. You know, before I do that, I think I'm going to merge that lower lip in. Okay. So crazy doing that big of perspective. I'm going to change it to 85. Okay. So let's. I'm listening to good old Phil Collins. Genesis, I should say. Which Indiana movie is the best? 3. That's my favorite anyway. Junior. We named the dog Indy. Okay, let's see. Lower lip, is that this? Yeah. And let's merge this down. I'm going to save it first. So many good voice impressions. Thanks. Bring me my diary. 3D version of Fraggle Rock or the Banana Splits Adventure Hour. Yeah, I used to love Fraggle Rock as a kid. All hints and stuff. He just created magic. I love the Doozers, you know. They actually did a decent like remake not too long ago. Okay, let's stitch. Okay. Remesh by union. Accept. And symmetry. Trebek. Come and shit on my lap. Oh, that makes me laugh so much. Oh man, I'm gonna make this turn into. I try and keep my streams so younger audience can watch them. Sometimes I go off the rails. Okay. See, look how squished this whole muzzle area is. Let's fix it. And I may need to retop because a dense mesh is not good for large fixes or changes because the blurring doesn't blur as quickly across the surface, and it makes some bad geometry, but usually I can fix my way out of it, smooth my way out of it. There we go. So much better. Sometimes I like break it, push it enough to break it and then bring it back. Much better. Okay. Goodness. I found a number that clicked in the safe. Now it threw the neck off. Oh, good old Go-Go's. Our lips are sealed. That little bit making it. Yep, it's so true. It's like just those little dials, not just boom. There it is. Hey Eric, any advice for a recent graduate in 3D and not feeling great by getting works? So what are you into stylized characters, or are you trying to get work doing other things? Yeah, I had a, if you watch this back to, after it's posted, I did a whole big kind of breakdown of what to put in your portfolio and all that. I don't mean to like not answer your question, but I just answered it about 45 minutes ago. Let's see, what kind of styles did Shane rock in his younger days? Yeah, not quite Flock of Seagulls, but when I had hair. I have no hair right now. None hairs. Oops. But if you're talking about like music, what I listen to is mainly like new wave, and I listen to all of it. Heavy metal, rock, all of it. Let's see. But mostly I would say new wave, as it was called back then. Let's see if I can find something. I don't know that I had. I'm always embarrassed to show this, but it's so funny that I can't help it. But here you go. Oh, this cracks me up every time. So this is me with my snowboard in, like, what is it? The year 1986, I think. Look at that background. Look at that hair. Yeah. It's funny because my sons kind of look like this now. Not the hair, but yeah, I can see myself in them. Crazy. Anyway, now I have none. I abused my hair, now it's gone. Do you ever topo brush to make certain things cleaner? I do. Usually I'll use the remesher to do that, but sometimes if it's simple enough, I'll absolutely use the retopo brush for sure. I should scope my younger self. Hey comics, I'm not absolutely sure yet. It's debatable. I'm kind of up in the air about it. Thank you, Graham. I'll take that as a compliment. I really like Charlie Puth. I like it. I like his music. I love it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, all the members of Genesis. Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins. Good stuff. Red Rain is playing right now. Peter Gabriel. Such a good song. Thanks. It's so funny, like back then, I was so self-conscious, you know, because I was an artist, you know. I wasn't a sporto. I was a geek, nerd, whatever you want to call it, a geek for sure. I grew up in a small town, very small. And everybody, the town was so small that everybody in my class in my high school was on the football team except for me, you know. So I was that standout kid, skateboarder. I'm gonna smooth that too much. All right. So you'd say ZRemesher is a fast way to get clean results, or is it just your preferred method? So for sculpting geometry in particular, it's way faster. But for, you know, ending topology, like if I'm gonna get it out of ZBrush and use it somewhere else, I'll take it outside, like to Cinema 4D or something, to do the retopology on it. So I'll take the time to do that. All right, I'm gonna use this fill brush. Did you skate the half pipe? I tried. That wasn't that great. Again, small town. There weren't many places to skate. It's like farm fields and whatnot. But a friend of mine had a half pipe in his backyard, a really small one, and we go mess around with that. Yeah, ZRemesher is not good for final asset. It's good for sculpting. Okay. Come on, grab it. Ears are a bit too big. Not a bit, a lot too big. That's better. Should we give her some eyes? Let me see something here. Do I have zebra eyes? I do. Okay, let's just do it. Lori, this is for you. I'm taking requests now, I guess. Could you show me a simple way to make cartoon glasses? I would, except for this character doesn't have glasses, so that would interrupt my flow. Instead, I would like to point you to maybe an older character that I've done. If you look up Shane Olson ZBrush, I have so many characters that I've made in the past, and several of them have glasses, and I've made those glasses in different ways. I'm not sure, Scott. I don't know who that is. So, I apologize for that, but yeah, I do show how to make glasses in previous streams that I've done. I'm listening to Huey Lewis, Want a New Drug. That's a good one. I remember the controversy when that one first came out. So everybody would go to his concert and come back to school with the shirt that says "I want a new drug" on it. The principal just lost his mind. Thanks, Neil. There you go. I haven't done ZBrush in a long time. I'm just here to listen to Shane's story. Thanks, Sofo. You know, I've actually wondered, like, often if I did like a gaming YouTube channel, if anybody would watch it. Like, hang out with me as I play games, you know? I've been messing around with this game called Palia. Your kids listen to the music I listen to? One of them, yeah, for sure. One of them does, like, I got him hooked. My second to oldest, his name's Caden, and yeah, he's very much into the music I listen to, which makes me happy. We just went to see Greta Van Fleet the other night, which, if you ever heard of them, they kind of sound Led Zeppelin-ish. They're kind of... You've been playing Palia since Alpha? That's awesome. What do you think? I take it you like it. I really like the character design in there. I follow the head game designer on LinkedIn, and I told him as much. Yeah, it's really good design. Yeah, my other sons, they're into their own stuff, which is totally fine. I mean, they do like some of the stuff I listen to, but okay, I'm gonna apply this and divide it up so I can paint on it. And we're just gonna, instead of doing a squish sphere like I normally do, I'm just gonna try some painting. And let's see, she looks like she would have green eyes and maybe reddish hair. I'm gonna try that. So here we go. I'm gonna put these in a layer. So add a layer. Then let's start out with like a really dark green. Dark greenish yellow. I'm listening to Human by Human League. That's a good one. Okay. Maybe something like that. Then I'll aim them after I get them painted. So after you get this initial circle, you can kind of pop down one and even add a new layer. Silver blue with purple hair. It's funny you described my paleo character. Okay, so let's go like green, more green. And then just kind of fill it in like that. Okay. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Quick, Sonia. Is the sphere for the eye higher resolution than the rest of the face? Yes. I subdivided it up to 3 million polys, so it would take the poly paint that I put on there. Okay. And then let's do another layer. I'm going to soften this one and then hit it with a kind of a lighter green like this. And just kind of come down into here. Just a little bit of that gradient. I feel like Bob Ross at this point. And then go towards yellow, a little more saturation, smaller brush. And I'm just wanting to paint where the light is hitting the lower side of that iris. Something like that. Okay, and then another one. We're going to do the pupil, go back to the hard edge, and we're going to go 100% black with this one. Usually I don't, except for the pupils. And then just kind of kick the pupil in like that. And that way we kind of have the shadow and that like that. Okay, and then this is the fun part, is applying. Well, I can paint a little bit of a shadow in there. So I'm going to pull this down to about here. And just do a super light shadow. I usually don't paint shadows across eyeballs because when they move, it kind of breaks it. But we can do just a little light shadow right here. Something like that. Oh, I'm actually going way over time, aren't I? I'm just streaming still. I gotta wrap it up. Okay, so last thing I'm gonna do is apply a material. I'm just having so much fun, you guys. Okay, so let's go ZBrush eye reflection, and then switch to material, hit fill object, and then switch it back to skin shade 4. And that didn't work. Why? What's going on? Oh, layers. Good old layers. I gotta turn this off. I don't know if this is gonna work with layers. It did. Okay. There it goes. All right, you have to have your layers not in record mode for it to work. This is ZBrush eye reflection. Turn material back off. I'll continue next week, next Monday, with the hair for sure, because that's gonna be some craziness. I gotta really adjust this mouth. It's still not where I want it to be, so we're getting there. All right, you guys. Yeah, this mouth is looking really strange right now. Why do you use layers for the material? To make it non-destructive. So I can go back and edit things later on. That's the only reason. But all right, you guys, and I'll probably I might do a teeny tiny pupil like she has right here, or no pupil at all. Yeah, we'll see. And so for that matter, so I can select this, right? And I can turn the pupil off again. See? Boink. No more pupil because it's in a layer. All right, you guys. Thank you. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. And we will see you all next Monday. And as always, I give away my brushes, my user interface, my ruler file. It's all in one download. If you go over to my website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com, the link is in the, it's over at Twitch actually, but you can just type in 3dcharacterworkshop.com and go grab it. And yeah, I'll get there, David. And I also have an online course you can check out, and I teach you how to do stylized characters for video games and toys without having to go to an expensive school to learn it all. So, all right, you guys, take care, have a good one, and we'll see you. And oh, Sean, I might stream on my own channel as well. So look up 3D Character Workshop on YouTube, and I stream over there as well. So, all right, take care, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.